We'll, until this thing joins and we'll start with little Kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivarakari Jaya Girivarakari Yashodana Braja Jana Rangana Yashodana Braja Jana Rangana Yashodana Braja Jana Rangana Yamuna Tira Vanachati Vanachati Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Jaya Girivaradari Yashodhanandana Prajadhanarana Yamuna Tira Vanachati Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Radhe Jaya Jaya Nitai Patita Pavan Gaurari Jaya Nitai Patita Pavan Gaurari Jaya Pavan Gaurahari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloker Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, Text 19. Sorry, I'm having some difficulty to join in from laptop, so not able to share my screen for the verse. I'll repeat, it is 3:26:19. That's the verse we are discussing. The chapter is entitled as Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Daivat Shubhita Dharminiyam Swashyam Yaunau Parapuman Adhata Virayam Shashuta Mahatattvam Hiranmayam Daivat Shubhita Dharminiyam Swashyam Yaunau Parapuman Adhata Virayam Shashuta Mahatattvam Hiranmayam. One more time. Daivat Shubhita Dharminiyam Swashyam Yaunau Parampuman Adhata Virayam Shashuta Mahatattvam Hiranmayam. Now try project. You read the translation. After the Supreme Personality of Godhead impregnates material nature with his internal potency, material nature delivers the sum total of the cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This takes place in the material nature when she is agitated by the destination of the conditioned souls. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. This impregnation of material nature is described in Bhagavad Gita 14 chapter verse 3. Material nature's primal factor is the Mahat Tattva, a breeding source of all varieties. This part of material nature, which is called as Pradhana, as well as Brahman, is impregnated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and delivers varieties of living entities. Material nature in this connection is called Brahman because it is the perverted reflection of spiritual nature. It is described in Vishnu Puran that the living entity belongs to the spiritual nature. The potency of the Supreme Lord is spiritual, and the living entities, although they are called marginal potency, are also spiritual. If the living entities were not spiritual, this description of impregnation by the Supreme Lord would not be applicable. The Supreme Lord does not put his semen into that which is not spiritual. But it is stated here that the Supreme Lord, Supreme Person, puts his semen into material nature. This means that the living entities are spiritual by nature. After impregnation, material nature delivers all kind of living entities, beginning from greatest living creature like Lord Brahma down to insignificant ant in all varieties of form. In Bhagavad Gita 14.4, material nature is clearly mentioned as Sarva Yonisho. This means that of all the varieties of species, demigod, human being, animal, birds, and beasts, whatever is manifested, material nature is the mother, and Supreme Personality of Godhead is the seed-giving father. Generally, it is experienced that the father gives life to the child, but the mother gives its her body. Although the seed of life is given by the father, the body develops within the womb of the mother. Similarly, the spiritual living entities are impregnated into the womb of material nature, but the body, being supplied by material nature, takes on many different species and forms of life. The theory that the symptoms of life are manifest by the interaction of the 24 material elements is not supported here. The living force comes directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is completely spiritual. Therefore, no material scientific advancement can produce life. The living force comes from the spiritual world and has nothing to do with the interaction of material elements. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Wonderful. We welcome you all for today's Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. Really grateful, Shamkishore Prabhu, for this opportunity. It is one thing to actually realize our incapability to speak on Srimad Bhagavatam. But my spiritual master said a beautiful thing. He said, when we speak, Paramatma is speaking through us, for us. So I would take this opportunity to actually share something which I want to personally apply in my life. I struggle a lot. That's why I seek your blessings, because I look for this opportunity to actually speak on Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can offer my obeisances at all of your lotus feet and share something to actually inspire in my life and going with an extra mile, going with the higher speed than what I'm practicing in Krishna consciousness today. So this is a beautiful verse, which is I wanted to actually, I'm not highly technical. So this is a very highly technical topic for me. And I was thinking, what is something which inspires me from this verse? I want to start with one of the beautiful experience from Srila Prabhupada's memories. One time, Srila Prabhupada was doing a morning walk, and a lot of senior devotees would mostly join Prabhupada because they would have a lot of questions. There was one devotee amongst all these devotees who didn't ask any questions. He was kind of really silent. And then Prabhupada, the morning walk got over, and Prabhupada was about to enter in the car and about to close the door, and this devotee ran to Prabhupada. And he stood in between the door and Prabhupada. And he asked Prabhupada a question. Now, this is a very, very important, though very simple, but it's a very deep question and answer. So this devotee asked actually, Prabhupada, what does it take to become Krishna conscious? When I heard this question, I was eager. The problem when we know little is we start thinking, oh, maybe Prabhupada would answer this. Prabhupada would say, chanting. Prabhupada would say this. Prabhupada would say this association and all. Prabhupada in his grey voice just gave a single word answer this time. Desire. Prabhupada said, desire. When we read this verse, sometimes we say that, okay, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there are so many wonderful personalities which are mentioned. Actually, interestingly, when I read this purport, I realized we also exist in Srimad Bhagavatam. How do we exist in Srimad Bhagavatam? Whenever Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about conditioned living entity, we think someone else, some person far, far away. But actually, when we hear about conditioned living entity, it's being spoken about us. Like Rasika Bhuvi Prabhu shared a very beautiful point in his last class when he gave in the temple. He said it very nice in Hindi. I'll say it in Hindi and then I can translate it in English. हमारा reputation ऊपर अच्छा नहीं है. You know, it's like whenever someone wants to curse someone, they say, you go to Prithvi Lok, but we are so proud to stay here. Whether we live in a gold jail, or whether we live in silver jail, or whether we live in a kind of a dungeon, which is nothing there. But at the end of the day, it is all jail. So we conditioned living being or conditioned living entity are rotting here in the material world because of only one thing. That is the desire. I was thinking about, when we think about desire, what are the examples we have? And Srimad Bhagavatam is actually filled with so many examples about wonderful souls. Maybe apparently it looks like they are performing some mistakes, but actually they are very, very special personalities chosen by Lord Krishna himself to show us the way to not do things incorrectly, rather to realize how to do things correctly. So I was thinking about Canto 6, which is entitled as Prescribed Duty of Mankind. It's a very, 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 the whole canto has tons of examples talking about desire. Many, many examples which is talking about how to make a right desire, and examples of what happens when we make a wrong desire. So Canto 6, it starts with actually Ajamil. But after that, it is actually talking about the example of Chitraketu Maharaj. So we all have heard so many times. But there is so much to learn from these wonderful persons. So Chitraketu wanted a son desperately. It's beautifully mentioned when who was the Rishi Prabhu who came to him? Was it Vashisht? No.
Chitraketu.
Angira Muni. Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry, I'm poor with names. So Angira Muni actually comes to Chitraketu Maharaj, and he knew everything. What is going on? And he says, what is the cause of your lamentation? And he gives tons of examples saying that, whether the praja is not treating you well, whether you are not taking care of the praja nicely and all. And Chitraketu Maharaj at the end says, you are like a personification of Supreme Lord himself, and you know everything. Jai Shri Radha Gopi Jana Vallabha Bhagwan Ki Jai, Shri Nitai Patita Pavana Gaurani Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. So he says, you know everything, and this is my problem. And Angira Muni actually smiles, and he gives him a fruit that you give it to your wife, and then you will have a son. But the son will be the cause of your misery, and he will be the cause of your happiness. Chitraketu Maharaj says, oh, you know what, that's okay. At least I got a son. And when he got the son, he was so happy. His life changed completely. I was thinking about, what do we have to learn from this lesson? We know this material nature is impregnated with miseries. Our life is going to be just filled with harsha and choka. Harsha is very minute, very, very minute, very tiny. But we think this is going to be unlimited, and I will have maybe some miseries here and there. I'll handle that. But actually, material nature is designed to actually make us suffer, whether we like it or we don't like it. So here, Chitraketu Maharaj is thinking, saying that, oh, at least I will have some harsha, I will have a son, we will take care of that. And then we know that story that he got more favor to his wife, who begot the child. And then the other wives did not like it. What are the other wives in our life? The other wives in our life is sometimes our relatives, sometimes our colleagues, sometimes our friends, who do not like certain aspect of us when we do certain things in a certain way. So these wives, actually, the co-wives, actually fed poison to the son of Chitraketu Maharaj, and his son died. Now, this is very, very beautifully in detailed explained how are both husband and wife feeling of the separation. And you see those wonderful explanation about the wife of Chitraketu Maharaj. She actually, in a way, cursed the destiny, in a way, cursed the or defines this material nature is imperfect. How Lord has created everything, she explains that it is so imperfect. The son dies before the father. And then, how do we understand? Because we just have one son who's supposed to carry on our mission, and he just dies there. And then Chitraketu Maharaj is miserable there. And again, this is the mercy of devotees in our life. This is the mercy of Guru in our life. Angira Muni comes, Narada Muni comes there. And they start explaining that similar thing which happens to Krishna when he's telling to Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita, hey, this doesn't suit you, You are such a high caliber person. This doesn't suit you. And the same thing Narada Muni tells to Chitraketu Maharaj. Hey, you are a very highly qualified person, not materially but spiritually. This doesn't suit you talking about all this. And they enlighten him about spiritual knowledge. Now, very interesting aspect there. Narada Muni says, or Angira Muni says, please forgive me about that. He says, when you wanted a son, we wanted to give you similar philosophy. But we realize this is not the right time. And now when you are going through difficult situation, we feel you are more fertilized. You are more, what do you call it as? A perfect situation to hear Krishna Katha. What we want to do is we want to be the controller of everything. But unfortunately, the reality is we are not the controller. We have so many plans. We plan, we have so many desires. Now one may say, and I had this question, do I have material desires? What is the meaning of having a material desire? Anything to do other than Krishna. Not that Sunday I have a spiritual desire when I come to Sunday feast. When I come to Bhagavatam for morning class, I have spiritual desire that I want to go back to Godhead. But our entire day shows what I'm doing to actually fulfill that desire. Otherwise, it is very superficial. I was hearing from my spiritual master on this. That class is called as cultivating proper desires. What I am doing throughout the day defines how pure is my desire, or how I am eager to actually fulfill that desire. Unfortunately, most of us, at least I'll talk about myself, these desires are very superficial, that I want to go back to spiritual world. But I don't want to pay the price to go to the spiritual world. Right? So we see in this example, so Chitraketu Maharaj is being enlightened now, and now he is traveling. Now this is very, very interesting. Chitraketu, with his example, showing us this world is not going to be perfect for us. We are not the controller. So he is traveling in his plane, and then he come across a wonderful experience. He sees Lord Shiva is speaking about spiritual. He was talking about spiritual topic to rishis who are renounced in nature, and Mother Parvati sitting in his lap. And then Chitraketu Maharaj is astonished, and then he is thinking, alas, what kind of situation is that? Lord Shiva, who is actually the supreme renounced person, is giving the katha, Krishna katha, and Mother Parvati sitting in his lap. Now, when the Lord Shiva and other rishis heard that, Lord Shiva smiled. And then other rishis understood we are not supposed to speak, so they calmed down. Mother Parvati got angry. And then she decided to curse him. And she cursed him that you become a demon in the Prithvi Loka. You become a horrible demon. So Chitraketu Maharaj, now this is very, very important. That's why Srila Prabhupada's purport are extremely important. Prabhupada said in the purport, now if I see this external situation, it appearing look like Chitraketu Maharaj did not say things correctly, or if you see from other perspective, Lord Shiva should not be doing that. But Prabhupada says, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, it is very difficult to understand the situation why Krishna does something very interestingly which we cannot perceive in our life. So here neither is the fault of Chitraketu Maharaj, because he is thinking the Lord Shiva is a leader. He is a Param Vaishnava. If he is performing that, somebody else may not understand him correctly and they will follow that rhyme, And here Lord Shiva understood his thought and he smiles. But at the same time, Lord Shiva is extremely renounced. He is not affected. His wife is actually the material energy, Mother Parvati. So he smiles, and now this is where the beautiful part of conversation comes in, how Chitraketu Maharaj accepts that curse. And he says, it's not your fault, it's neither my fault. It is the arrangement of the Lord that I'm being cursed, and I'm really grateful to you. Now let's go a deeper dive into these aspects. Here Chitraketu Maharaj, how is he taking difficulty? And now trust me, for people who go through difficulty not one time, but for years and years and years of difficulty, when they come out of it for a certain period of time, and when they again get another difficulty, which is like maybe a multiplication or exponential to our previous problem, it hurts even more. Now, the interesting aspect is that here Chitraketu Maharaj is defining the nature of the material world, which is Dukhalem Ashashwatam. Nothing is going to be permanent. I just suffered a loss of my son. Unfortunately, the reality of the world is that, at least I'll talk about myself, I'm a third-class devotee. A person has to experience something to realize the nature of the material world. When I lost Nayan Sundari, I realized what Chitraketu Maharaj would be thinking when he lost his son. I couldn't understand the depth or gravity of how it feels when the most loved ones leave us. That person we can never talk to, that person we can never see, that person we can never reciprocate. Right? So here Chitraketu Maharaj lost his son and now he's recovering. And now all of a sudden he gets a curse that you become a demon. For us, the curse is when we lose the association of devotees. Here Chitraketu Maharaj is becoming a demon called as Vritrasur. Now, a very, very deeper aspect in this pastime, Vritrasur is actually an association of demons. Don't have devotees association. And here, Devtas are so horrified with his presence and how they turn into existence. Now, this is another aspect, How, Krishna, so many twists and turns. Even the roller coaster ride, the topmost roller coaster ride in the entire world will shy away with the types of twists and turns come. Lord Indra is actually not offering respect to his guru Brahaspati, and Brahaspati disappears. He realizes, oh man, I made a mistake. And then he goes to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma says, you make Vishwaroop as your guru, but be mindful about this thing. He may favor the Danos as well. Don't do anything wrong. He knows it. Not that he did not know. Like sometimes we realize we eat something and we get a disease. Oh man, I did not know. So I should be careful for next time. Hey, Lord Indra is told before his action. So Lord Indra is performing the yajna, and then he get Narayan Astra. He get the Narayan Kavacha, and then he sees the Vishwaroop is offering the yajna and then offering mantras, which is going for the benefit of Danavas. And what does he do? He chops his head. Oh, like Krishna, you hold your head. I was told not to do that. He does that, and he loses his position. Now, what happens is Vritrasur is born by the mind of I forgot the name. Please forgive me about that. So now Vritrasur is born to actually kill Indra. But there is a mistake which is done in that. And then Vritrasur is born. I don't want to go in that detail. So Vritrasur is born. Now Vritrasur is creating a havoc. Now, Devatas are going to Lord Vishnu. Very interesting aspect. And I want to share from my personal experience. A lot of times we think Devata worship, of course, it is not recommended when we hear from Bhagavad Gita, but when we go through difficulty, we don't want to miss a single thing. And this is the same thing I did as well. I want to confess that. When Nayan Sundari wasn't recovering, they said, oh, you do this yagya, you do this yagya. Okay, let's do it. And then here, same Devatas whom we approach, when they are in difficulty, they go to Lord Vishnu. And what is Lord Vishnu saying? Very interesting. An intelligent person does not involve in fruitive activities. And he said, now this is where the another greatest personality is coming. Very few pages in Srimad Bhagavatam, but an extremely powerful person. He said, you go to Dadichi. Extremely amazing person. Now, this is very deep philosophy here. A lot to learn from here, this example. So, here, go and ask Dadichi, you give your body. What does that mean? You die. And from your bones, from his bones, you basically give to Vishwakarma, he will form a astra, which you can use to kill Vritrasur. Multi-dimensional story. Multi-dimensional. Here, Lord Vishnu wants to regain the position of Devatas with one arrow, multiple things which Lord is doing. This is the specialty of our Supreme Lord, Radha Gopi Jano. They know what to do. And here, Dadichi is such a powerful personality. He has to die. Chitraketu, who is cursed as Vritrasur, has to die. And Devatas get their position. So there are 3 dimensions here, right? That is being taken over here. And when they go to Dadichi kind of play a game. Hey, you know how it takes to actually leave the body. And it's not that I'm 60, I'm 70. Hey, I'm in perfect youth. I'm not sick. He was in a perfect youth. He could live for thousands of years. He says, you know what it takes to actually die? Thousands of scorpions biting. And you're asking me to die? Oh, greatest Devatas. Now, multi-aspect here, right? Apparently, Devatas are trying to regain, they are trying to fulfill their desire. Again, everything boils down to desire. That is the topic we are discussing about. That they want to actually, just want to be mindful about the time. 8:55. So, they are actually trying to regain the position, and on the other dimension, they are given a service to basically being the in charge of different departments of this material world. Now, for them to take that position, someone has to leave the body. Someone has to die. Right? What does that mean? When we want to actually gain something so higher, going back to spiritual world, we have to lose something. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, and we recite this every morning. Na danam na janam na sundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatad bhakti ahetuki tvai. Nothing tangible in spiritual life comes without sacrifice, without austerity, without tapasya. What is that tapasya for us? The tapasya for us is to not desire anything material, not think about I need a green card, not that I need my kids to go to this university, not that I want my bank balance to go here, I want 500K salary, I want my job to go well, I don't want to be fired, I want a child. I want to take care of my family. I don't want health problem. I don't want relationship problems. All the devotees should be nice to me. Nobody should give me purification. Everything should go smoothly in my life. When I come for Sunday feast, I dance, chant, Hari Bol, go home. And that is how every Sunday is going to be. Unfortunately, that's not how material world is designed. It's a beautiful joke, actually. I don't know whether we should laugh on that or whether we should cry on that. There was a grandmother who would tell his grandson every time she would see him, hey, when are you getting married? When are you getting married? When are you getting married? Tumhara number kab aayega? Tumhara number kab aayega? So In the neighborhood, one elder person dies. And this guy got irritated. And he said to his grandmother, when is your number coming? Tumhara number kab aayega? Unfortunately, I'm not cursing. I'm not saying something. I'm just sharing. Mera number kab aayega? That is what we are waiting for. But in spite of that, I want to come to Sunday feast. I want to come to Srimad Bhagavatam, have nice prasad of plate, for which there are 50 devotees working for 8 hours. But I eat that plate, disappear from Sunday feast, go back to my normal schedule. Unfortunately, that is not how material world works. We cannot have a same Sunday feast for rest of our life. We cannot have a same devotee association for the rest of our life. Here, Vritrasura is associating with demons. Now, it is very deeper aspect here. Take an example of Vritrasura. Only his desire is only visible to Lord Krishna. He doesn't have a guru who knows other than we are fortunate. He doesn't have devotees whom he can share his heart. Because most of the time what is the meaning of devotee association? We come together, my job is this, I'm doing this, I'm earning this, I'm doing this, and we leave. This is not association. Association means pouring our heart, not sharing our greatest thought, sharing our challenges in our life. Hey, I'm struggling, can you help me? Not that we have our private life separate and we don't want to share with anyone. I struggle and I keep it with myself. Unless we reveal someone who is very, I'm not saying we come to Sunday feast class and give our challenges, but identify someone in our life, we can share our heart, our challenges, and that person guides. He doesn't judge. He guides us and we follow that. So here, we see an example about Dadichi is ready to sacrifice his life for the welfare of other Vaishnavas. We have to do some austerity. What is that austerity? What I'm doing for other Vaishnavas. Am I doing something? Am I giving or I'm just taking? I'm just thinking about myself. Coming back to this point, Vritrasur is given that position of leader of Danavas because they think he is a perfect Danav. He's a perfect demon. He is not. They don't know his heart. Devatas don't know either his heart. They want, everybody is praying for him to die. How many of us want to be in that situation? None of us. When I want to be understood nicely by other devotees. Or when we grow in spiritual life, prana pratishtha, that someone should recognize me a great devotee, that I give nice Srimad Bhagavatam class. Rascal like me sitting here have zero realization speaking on these wonderful topics which are far, far away from my realization. So here, Vritrasur is being completely misunderstood by everyone. But he is playing his role. He wants to die. None of us wants to die. But he wants to die to gain that spiritual. He's saying, man, I'm in a miserable condition. When will we understand that material world is a miserable place for us to live? There is nothing tangible this material world has to offer to us. I want to go to that world. When Yashoda Maya is changing the clothes of Krishna, when those clothes fall down on the earth grabs that fragrance. She's eager. Oh, when is Yashoda Maya is trying to change the dress of Krishna? I want to grab that fragrance. And what is she doing? She's giving that fragrance to all the flowers. Spiritual life is not all about take. Yes, we want those experiences, but we want to give something to others. I was thinking about, if we go to spiritual world, what is one service we will miss the most? Anyone? Correct. Thank you, Prabhu. Only in this material world, we have this service of preaching. We don't get that privilege because everyone is a Paramahamsa. Everyone is million times elevated in spiritual world than myself. So here, Mother Earth is giving that fragrance to flower. And when the monsoon season comes in, that fragrance goes to the river, and river is waiting. When will I have that experience? When we hear these pastimes, when will I go to spiritual world? When will I be serving Krishna, whether in a position of a flower, in a position of one particle in the river, Yamuna, Mother Ganga. So here Vritrasura is thinking, I want to go back, man. Now this is another aspect. Indra got Dadichi left his body. Krishna showered unlimited mercy because he went back to spiritual world. He laid down his life for the welfare of other devotees. What was his desire? To please Vaishnava. When are we developing that desire to please Vaishnavas? When, you know what? When the Vaishnava is pleased, there is unlimited blessing come from their heart. That is what we live for. I remember this was an Ekadashi in Grand Rapids. And I did my fasting, whatever I'm supposed to do. And I'm in hospital. I don't have a gas. I can't cook. And I want something. And I'm yearning for something. And I go to Krishna house. And our dearest Shavanand Krishna Prabhu, he made breakfast. When I had one morsel of that prasad, he invited him as Prabhu, when are you coming? I'm coming, Prabhu. And I had one morsel of that prasad. My heart was erupting with gratitude because Ekadashi you didn't get to eat much. And you come next day and then someone's serving you that. I remember when we would go for yatra, on Prabhupada's disappearance day during Kartik month, all the super senior devotees would serve at 12 p.m. You're supposed to finish your fast or do parna, whatever it is. They would serve. And I was just such a horrible person, man. I don't know how I got devotional service. Ready to be in the first in the line to have prasad. And it used to be an opulent prasad. There'll be malpuas, 3 kind of sweets. Man, it's like 10, 12 course meal in yatra. So I'm there. Now I realize when I think about themselves, when I think about them, I remember it is about austerity. Here, Tadichi laid down his life for the welfare of Vaishnavas. Vishwakarma created that weapon. And now Indra had that weapon. And here Vritrasur is killing Devatas. Now, very interesting. He loved Devatas because they are actually, we call it as a technology world as stakeholders. They are my core people. But he's killing them. Now, very difficult to understand what is happening here. He's killing someone he loves the most. And here, Dhanava is who he doesn't like, but at the same time, because he is Vaishnava, he's not like me. So he's loving them as well because we should hate the sin, not the sinner. He applies that philosophy. So he's not hating them either. Now Indra is bewildered. Man, I can't. He throws something and then it's like a fist, just does this and it's like a small particle. And then, man, how am I going to fight with this guy? And Vritrasur teaches him, hey, use that weapon. Why don't you have a faith in Lord Vishnu? Use that weapon he gave you to kill me. You kill me, you win. I go back to God. I don't want to be here. This is a horrible position I'm in. We have to realize I'm in a horrible position. I want to go there. Whatever it takes to go there. And unfortunately or fortunately from Srimad Bhagavatam perspective, unfortunate from our material mundane perspective, when we don't go through difficulty in our life, we are not going to actually decide to go back to spiritual world. This material world has to sufficiently called as torture us unless we realize this is not a place I want to stay in. For some people, they lay down their life realizing, man, I heard and I want to follow. But third class people like me I want to experience before I get there. Until then, the sincerity doesn't come. So Maya is extremely powerful. Very powerful. So here, Indra is thinking, how do I attack him, man? And how this is a wonderful hard law that Indra had after this. He is thinking, how can I kill him, man? His consciousness and Vritrasur, you read those few slokas, they bring you ecstasy. What? It's a curse for me to say him a demon. The type of verses he's speaking. Hey, Indra is bewildered, man. He is a Paramhamsa. Who is he? Same question is asking. Chitraketu's story comes later. Vritrasur's story comes first because Parikshit Maharaj is asking, hey, can you elaborate me? Who is this guy? How come he has such a higher consciousness and that too being a demon? And then the Chitraketu story comes in. Very interesting. It's a reverse. I spoke exactly reverse, but this is very interesting. Why? And this is a very wonderful thing which Sukadeva Goswami is saying. He's talking about what are our challenges in our life and then talks about what brought us here. Right? It is all about my activities in previous life which are giving me nobody's fault. It's my fault. I chose to be here. One time Prabhupada was asked by a devotee, Prabhupada, can you tell me why did Krishna created material world? And this is a time Prabhupada would sometimes be very heavy. You rascal, you made Krishna create this material world. Prabhupada, I didn't ask. No, you did. So I'm not talking about you. I am that rascal for whom Krishna had to create this material world and I'm rotting here. And I want to revive. I want to get out of this conditioned life by what? By developing sincere desire. How can I develop sincere desire? By coming in association of devotees whom we give the least, at least I give the least importance. I want to showcase how wonderful, how great devotee I am. But actually the association of devotee means I am the servant of 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 the servant. We all get beautiful names when we get initiated. But most important part of our name is Das. I'm trying to remind myself. Here, Vritrasur is ready to die. He wants to regain that wonderful position going back to spiritual world. We also want to go there. Let's develop that desire. Krishna, I do not belong here. I am yours. What does it mean when we say I'm yours? I am willing to sacrifice anything and everything to fulfill that desire. Now it's a very high consciousness to say I'm ready to rot in the material world for birth after birth as long as you want me to be here. Nilad Maharaj is praying. Kalavit Sridhar is praying. I'm not at high platform. I have a desire. When I'm a rascal number one, I can't develop that desire to actually reach that platform. I want to come and serve. His Grace Ram Roy Prabhu came and he said, Prabhupada said, Krishna wanted me to come to this material. I said, I don't want to go. No, you please go. Give Krishna to others. We take that. Lord Chaitanya says, I have many fruits, but I want your help. What is that fruit? What we are experiencing, share with others. Otherwise, it's a selfish life. We want to give it to others. And when we give it to others, that pleases Krishna the most. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear an example of Bhishma Dev. He is one of the 12 Mahajans. What is he doing? He is trying to break Krishna's promise. He is forcing Krishna to break his promise. He is fighting with Arjuna. He loves him the most and he is trying to kill him. He is about to kill him. At the same time, he knows Krishna will intervene at last minute. See, this is a faith. That is why he is one of the Mahajan. We lack that faith that Krishna will take care of me. I lack, at least I'm just sharing honestly. That is where I beg at your lotus feet that I want to develop that faith. Please pray for me. Bhishma Dev knows Krishna is going to save Arjuna. Hey, but you are about to kill Arjuna. How about if Krishna doesn't come at right time? How about Draupadi is being disobeyed, Krishna doesn't come at right time? It's a very difficult thing. And here Bhishma Dev is trying to kill Arjuna, and Krishna gets really angry. He takes the chariot, he takes the wheel of a chariot and rushes towards Bhishma. Arjuna is holding his feet. My lord, please don't break your promise. Let me die. This is a wonderful exchange. Arjuna is saying, let me die, but let's not your vow fail. Bhishma Dev is forcing him his vow to fail. Multi-dimensional. We have to understand each and every person's heart. That is how we develop the gratitude towards this bhakti, what we have received. We cannot realize what we have until we realize these great souls, until we understand their heart, which is very difficult. We need to hear, we need to read about these great souls. We need to hear the wonderful explanation given by Srila Prabhupada. So Bhishma Dev, he's a Paramhamsa. He's trying to break the promise. And when Lord Krishna is rushing towards him, he's shooting the arrows. And Krishna, for his pleasure, is bleeding. That is like a Chanamrit. Now, when this is a beautiful thing which I heard, and I just want to share, very important. When we do flower abhishek, that is not so much pleasing to Krishna. Here, Bhishma's arrows are more pleasing to Krishna because Krishna is a bhavagrahi. He is seeing the intention. The desires are not on the superficial platform. Desires needs to be, we need to dovetail our life to fulfill that desire, not that I want. Yugal Kishore Prabhu said a beautiful point. I want to get the highest perfection, but I don't want to come for Mangala Aarti. I'm just telling to myself. I don't want to sacrifice. We don't want to do any tapasya. I want to come for Sunday feast, dance, chant, and go. Yes, it is nice, but that is not going to take us to the ultimate destination. We need to dovetail our life, every aspect of our life, to fulfill that desire, to cry for that desire. At the end of my spiritual master class, one Maharaj is there. I don't know who he was because I was listening to audio. He's asking Maharaj, it is so hopeless. On our own, Maharaj said, yes, it is hopeless. But we have the mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas. But we have to do our role. That is where the two fingers come in. We have Kripa Siddhi and Sadhana Siddhi. We alone, Sadhana Siddhi cannot make us reach there. But we have to do like that sparrow who laid her eggs on the ocean, trying to dry the ocean. What is a possibility? We are like that sparrow. We want to dry the ocean. We want to get out of our anarthas. We want to dovetail everything in our material life. But our problem, at least my problem, either I'm one side of the pendulum or I'm on the other side of the pendulum. That is the problem. So here Bhishma Dev knows, he is happy that Krishna is coming. What is going on? He wants to lay down his life for the rest of the eternity. He is being misunderstood. Trust me, one of the challenge a lot of devotees have is nobody should misunderstand me. And if someone gives purification, we get upset. Hey, how did you do that? Why did you do that? Why didn't you make the boga properly? Or why didn't you clean the plate properly? It's still black. Why don't you clean the altar properly? I want to do the things in my way. I want everyone to be nice to me. Here, Bhishma Dev, nobody is being nice to him. Duryodhana is like, insult. It is said for Kshatriyas, dishonor is worse than death. So he is being dishonored completely. Duryodhana is dishonoring. Hey, what are you doing? Are you going to fight or are you just standing like that? Karna is cursing. Hey, throw him up. I want to take that position. What is that position? Arjuna here is being killed by him. Now, where do I understand? Only Krishna knows his heart. So I don't want to give a nice Bhagavatam class because I want the name, fame, glories. I don't want to do a nice dressing because I want name, fame, glories. I don't want to cook the great prasad, great bhoga because I want the name, fame, glories. I don't want to do a nice kirtan because I want name, fame, glories. I don't want to sweep the floor because I want name, fame, glories. I want to please Krishna. I want to please Krishna. That is a desire we all want to develop. Right? It is 9:18. Please forgive me for sharing that. I'll summarize. We talked about cultivating right desires. And when we say cultivating right desires, mean dovetail our life in practicing that desire. Showcase Krishna, I want to be sincere. Everyone wants to know, what did Nayan Sundari do before leaving her spiritual master king? We spoke about her. We see these great souls, apparently looks like, hey, they are in Bhagavatam. I can't do that. I can't be Vritrasur. Nobody wants to be Vritrasur, but it's nice to have that consciousness. I want to be Chitraketu. I can't become a Chitraketu. I can't become Dadichi. Prabhupada came here so much. What was his desire? He wanted to give Krishna to others. And we are so fortunate as part of this congregation. We had a soul leaving in front of us. How many of us? There are many souls, since pure souls who go back to spiritual world, but we don't know whether they went to spiritual. That is something so tricky. Only Krishna knows, and only Guru knows. Where did that soul go? When I'm giving Bhagavad Katha, one day I die. Hey, this guy was giving nice Bhagavad Katha. He must have gone to spiritual world. And I'm here sweeping in the hell world because I was I was showcasing something which I am not. And I'm sweeping in the hellish planet, being thrown in the fried oil where we fry the pakoras. And everybody's thinking he went there. Man, I'm rotting here. Worse than the material world I was living in. What did she practice? She tried to not have any desire other than remembering Krishna. She had a surgery here, the most softest part probably of her body, to basically give her oxygen through that. She lost her voice. Vocal cord is not there. She can't speak. She can't chant. In that, it was so painful. She's writing in her phone. It is so painful. Now they are about to do the dressing. I'm very fearful. It is going to pain again a lot. Why I'm so afraid of unknown when I have my most wonderful Krishna to whom I know the most? Why I'm afraid of unknown? He is known to me. He will take care of everything. And she writes after that. The nurse came. She did the dressing. Didn't pain me. Thank you, Krishna. Our life is to actually develop that attitude, develop that gratitude. Krishna, I'm yours. Otherwise, Maya is so strong, we'll be distracted and here and there. So many responsibilities we have to take care of our kids, take care of our family, take care of our job, take care of our visa status, take care of our health, take care of our relationship. But that is not the goal. Trying to remind myself, the goal is to have that desire. Krishna, I want to be yours. And whatever it takes to be there, please help me do that. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Jai. Any comments? Whatever I spoke, please forgive me. It is beyond my realization. If at all it touched your heart, please pray for me. I'm struggling. I want to go there. Thank you.
Online, anyone any question? Others, I have a question.
Anyone has a question online? And any comments online?
Yes, Prabhuji. Krishna Kumar Das here. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for a very nice class. Over this past weekend, I visited New Jersey, New York area, and I was talking to Madhupati Prabhu, who was when Kadam Kanan Maharaj was sick in Vrindavan. And there are two things I just want to share, because the last point you shared about Mataji having so much of pain, and then she has so much dependence on Krishna, and thank Krishna for not having pain. So Madhupati Prabhu shared that, when Maharaj reached Vrindavan, some devotee doctors from hospice came and said, Maharaj, we know that you don't want to take any allopathy treatment and other things, but we are here to just have you manage your pain. So then Maharaj said, Kadam Kanan Maharaj said that you don't know Kadam Kanan Swami. If um, my number of tumors about 2 months ago was about 80. Now after 2 months, I'm in Vrindavan. It might be 108. And if I want to do a kirtan right now, I can do a 1 hour non-stop kirtan. Like that Maharaj was sharing, like how he's dependent on Krishna. Like I can do that. And then he said, how do I manage pain? He said, whenever the pain comes, I pay obeisances. I pay pranams to that pain. And that pain actually takes care of itself. So that's how Maharaj actually shared. So it was really amazing for me to know that a devotee would reciprocate with the pain in that way, to do the pay the respects to the pain, because he has so much of faith in overall process. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you so much for a wonderful class again, as always. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Krishna Kumar Prabhu.
I have a question. So yeah, I mean, it's a very wonderful, very powerful class. And when you said actually that, what material desire do I have? You said, you ask yourself. So I was thinking that, only a very exalted devotee would think like that, because, I mean, I don't have to ask that question to myself. Definitely. It's very obvious. I don't have to pause and think about it. So yeah, it's very exalted person. So my question is that, so you said Nadanam Nadanam Nasundari, sacrifice. So sometimes when chanting is not good, and when such situation comes, then how to actually make that sacrifice?
Kishore, who is one of my role model, he is asking a question. When we talk about Nadanam Najanam Nasundaram, when we chant and when we are not able to focus, how do we actually develop that desire? Is that right, Prabhu? Is that fair?
Yeah, how to sacrifice?
How to sacrifice?
Nadanam Najanam.
Prabhu, I want to share my shortcomings here. I even haven't reached to Pranadapi Sunichena. Nadanam Najanam just comes after that. So it's beyond my realization to actually share, but I'll share what I heard. Connecting back to this question which Maharaj is asking to Radhanan Maharaj. Maharaj, it is hopeless. How do we do that? Cultivating that sincere desire. Maharaj says, by our own will, yes, it is hopeless. But by mercy of Guru and Vaishnavas, it's easy. It's possible. My own realization is that, Prabhu, at least for me, the three modes of material nature, goodness is millions of miles away from me. I'm just being tossed away by passion and ignorance. And we have to cross over the mode of goodness to actually be there, or at least be in mode of goodness to actually chant. So it's a far more higher realization that needs to be there. Or to answer your question, but one thing, when we please the Vaishnavas, they only desire when we please the Vaishnava and they bless us, we can cross the unsurmountable mountains, even Mount Sumeru, because Vaishnava's mercy is so powerful. It can actually empower us to do something which we could never do. From Srila Prabhupada's personal example, when we hear Malti Prabhu speaking and Prabhupada's direct disciples speaking, they share this. Hey, we were just hardly few weeks in Krishna conscious movement. Mother Malti was sharing about one time Prabhupada said, let's have Rath Yatra in San Francisco. And Malti Prabhu is saying, so we wanted to do the Rath Yatra. And then there was a beautiful flower garden. We took all the flowers from this. So next day when the cops came, they said, there are no flowers here. The other cop is saying, see it on the altar. She's telling like that. And then they are actually, Mataji was saying, Malti Prabhu was saying that we wanted to make chapatis. Prabhu, chapati for Rath Yatra require making that itself is like a dream come true. Or thinking about that itself is running away. She said, we wanted to make chapatis. So we just had one balan. One balan, millions of people, how it is going to happen? So they went near a bar where they throw the bottles. They wash those bottles. And with the bottle, they use that as a balan. They made millions of chapatis. Next day, when they were giving millions of chapatis, they were dry, definitely. They were dry. And we all know, even in few hours when we make chapatis here, and I've seen it, they are so soft. When you go upstairs to take the plate, they turned out to be hard. Now they are being cooked one night before, next day being served. And these are all newcomers, Americans. At the time, there were hardly few Indians there, right? And they getting that chapati. The people who are serving, they are saying this is pure prasad, which can elevate you to spiritual. And these devotees who are taking new people, sorry, yeah, upcoming devotee, whatever we put it as, and they are ecstatic and they are relishing that chapati which we expect like a chapan bhog, the best chefs in the world making the best item, and you get that, you experience that. These people are experiencing that. What is changing? It's the same chapati, not with the best chakla belan. They have no experience making chapatis. They are struggling. Same thing. I don't have experience chanting Hare Krishna to a purest extent. I can't focus on the holy name, but I have a desire to please. And the people who are receiving, they are also that. So similar thing. What happened there? Because their desire is to please Guru and their desire is to please Vaishnavas, to transform their heart, become people who may not become devotee in their life, become Vaishnavas just by eating Krishna's sanctified food. And that transformed everything. What Prabhupada could do in few years is by pleasing his spiritual master, following the instruction of spiritual master, and Prabhupada's disciples by pleasing his Guru and pleasing Vaishnavas. That is my understanding, bro.
Yeah, one more question.
Yes, bro.
So you said to please devotees is very powerful. So I'm saying like I struggle to do that. Sometimes I may try to serve devotees, do something, and I feel like, I mean, the way the devotee reacts and the way I feel like, it's just, I shouldn't say it's useless, but at the same time, it's not really touching their hearts. So how to serve in that way?
Again, my role model is asking a question. When we do something for devotees, it's not touching their heart. I want to do that. How do I actually make sure I please the Vaishnavas? One time, Krishna house, there was a special celebration. Shan Kishore Prabhu came there and he made a blueberry cheesecake. And I happened to be there and I honor that blueberry cheesecake. I still remember the taste of it. Because his love and devotion was so intense in that one, made me feel it is like, what is the probability of a sewer experiencing the greatest joy in eating something which is non-stool? No possibility. He just likes stool. So if sewer people like me can experience that, what is the probability of Krishna not gaining that? Prabhu, coming back to what I shared, For Krishna, Bhishma's arrows were soft like petals than what we offer as a flower. Krishna takes our intention. So sometimes apparently these dishes, and I struggle, I lack on it. Please forgive me, it's beyond my realization. I'm sharing what I heard. Apparently, what we make is not of best. I'm not a best chef and I'm making something. I'm just trying the recipe. For what? Krishna, I want to please you. Sometimes the salt is less, sometimes the sugar is less. But Krishna sees our intention. So apparently, from an external perspective, it doesn't look like great. And neophyte devotees like me may not appreciate, saying that, oh, but Krishna sees our intention and he pleases. He is pleased with those arrows of Bhishma because he sees the bhava. So that is my understanding, bro. Because you make it for the pleasure of the Lord. Apparently, there may be some faults which those devotees may not appreciate. But because you please Krishna, you please those devotees. That is my understanding, bro. Does it answer, Broji?
Please pray I can get the intelligence of what to please. I mean, how to serve and what to say. And please give me. Please pray, bless me, I can get that intelligence.
Bro, I pray that we all go back to that ultimate abode in this lifetime. And we won't be able to preach, but at least get together and dance for Krishna's pleasure when the wonderful kirtan is going on. Thank you, Broji. Anything else we want to share? Thank you.
Thank you for wonderful class, Prabhu. So
Thank you.
opening class, you covered everything like what we go through in medical life as a family member. And so finally, like the desire keep how to keep the desire always alive. Like when desire comes to temple, I have a desire to stay. And I go back to what like I'm not thinking about Krishna.
Wonderful point, Prabhu. Our Krishna Kishore Prabhu is asking the question, how do we keep that desire alive forever? One of the Srimad Bhagavatam class, Shamanand Krishna Prabhu shared a beautiful point. I like that point. Very simple, but extremely powerful. We cannot waste our time. My Shiksha Guru also said that point back in Pune. Now, question is that how do I apply that? Okay, I understand this principle. Whenever I'm free, I either should be the lecture on, either the kirtan should be on, or I should be reading. You have a meeting in 15 minutes, you have nothing to do. Working from home, read a couple of pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. Translation is okay, purports are okay. If you read one verse translation with the purport. 3 modes of material nature are very powerful, especially passion and ignorance. Goodness, I don't know, Prabhu, so I can't comment on that. So they are very powerful. They just drag us, consciousness, keep dragging down. We are trying to swim against the current. That helps. Just reminding ourselves, I don't want to waste time. I don't want to waste time. I want to hear whatever I'm doing. I'm cooking, let me hear. Will I be able to understand? I don't want to know whether I want to understand or not. Whether something goes in or not, I want to hear. I want to hear. That is what we are supposed to do. A lot of time devotees ask, a lot of times I may hear, but if nothing goes in, that is not our job. So yes, we can try to hear as attentively as possible, but we want to engage. So not necessary that, I have to be in temple to be at that platform. Yes, it's nice. I like to be in temple as much as possible. It's easier to chant here versus at home. I completely agree. I know that very well. At least I struggle. But we basically have to develop the habit of hearing, especially our guru. I don't know who gave the class. Sorry, I just struggle on that. But I remember, I forget to remember who said, when said and all. Dwarkadish Prabhu came, right? We should hear at least one class of Maharaj daily, spiritual master daily, and one class of Prabhupada. Prabhupada had a wonderful class, which I didn't share that point. What we lack is to pull up that anchor. Prabhupada as a class, at least lift the anchor. Beautiful. So we should develop the habit of hearing Prabhupada. The other speakers, second priority. I'm not saying we shouldn't hear. That's what they said. We should hear spiritual masterclass. Where do we hear? Restroom is a place, there's a waste of time completely for 20 minutes, 15 minutes. Brushing the teeth, full waste of time. Driving, full waste of time. Right? Cooking is not waste of time, but yeah. So these things, put a class, helps. Whatever 5 minutes, 10 minutes it goes, it helps. That is what I understood from Mr. Shaman and Krishna Prabhu. To keep that desire kindled. Thank you, Prabhu. I'm sorry I went too much over time. I'm sorry for joining a little late. Thank you so much. La Prabhupada ki Jai, Samaveda Gaura Bhaktavinda ki Jai, Tai Gaura Primanande Hari Hari Bol.
His Grace Divyathirtha Prabhu.
Jai.
One
Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you, class.